My boss understands me better than you ever will. Julia said it while folding her silk blouses into the suitcase, each crease precise as a surgical cut. The company retreat was tomorrow, and she'd been packing for 3 hours like she was moving to Paris permanently, instead of spending 4 days at some corporate resort in Colorado. I'm David Kessler, 41 years old, and I make my living protecting people's digital secrets as an IT security consultant. Irony has a sense of humor. I can lock down a Fortune 500 company's network tighter than Fort Knox, but I couldn't see my own wife's betrayal coming until it was live streaming in high definition. Andrew just gets it, you know, Julia continued, not looking at me. He sees my potential. He believes in my vision for the marketing department. Andrew Hartwell, her boss, the CEO who'd been mentoring her for 6 months now. 45 years old, silver-haired, married to some ice queen named Natalie, and apparently blessed with supernatural powers of understanding that I somehow lacked after 16 years of marriage. That's wonderful, I said, watching her pack the red dress. The one I bought her for our anniversary 2 years ago. The one she claimed made her feel too conspicuous when I suggested dinner dates. What exactly does he understand that I don't? She paused, holding a pair of heels that cost more than most people's car payments. He listens, David. Really listens. When I talk about expanding our digital presence, he doesn't just nod and change the subject to server configurations or network security. Our son Ethan walked past the bedroom door, headphones on, but I caught his eye roll. At 16, he'd inherited my talent for reading people and my wife's talent for dramatic timing. He'd been increasingly cold toward Julia lately, spending more time in my home office, asking about my work, learning programming languages like other kids learn TikTok dances. So this retreat, I said, sitting on the edge of our bed. Just the executive team? The senior leadership, yes. Andrew wants to discuss the quarterly projections somewhere inspiring, somewhere we can think outside the box. She zipped the suitcase with finality. He's booked us at the Mountain Vista Resort. Very exclusive. I knew the place. Couples packages, romantic fireplaces, hot tubs with mountain views, real corporate atmosphere. My phone buzzed. A text from my friend Samir, who worked IT at Julia's company. Dude, you seeing the expense reports? Your wife's boss booked adjoining rooms at that resort. Thought you should know. Adjoining rooms. For thinking outside the box, apparently. Julia, I said carefully, how many people are going on this retreat? She was checking her reflection in the mirror, adjusting her hair. Oh, just the core team. Andrew, myself, maybe 2 others from finance. Small group, more intimate discussions. Intimate. There's a word that hadn't applied to our marriage in months. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? David? This is Monica. Julia's friend, the one who enabled every bad decision Julia made and then gossiped about it at wine nights. She sounded drunk. I just wanted to say, about Julia and Andrew. Julia's head snapped toward me. I put the phone on speaker. What about them, Monica? Well, everyone knows they're close, really close, and this retreat thing. Monica giggled. Let's just say Andrew's got Julia wrapped around his vision, his corporate vision. The silence in our bedroom was deafening. Julia grabbed the phone. Monica, you're drunk. Go to bed. But Monica was on a roll. I'm just saying, David seems like a nice guy, and if my husband was going on romantic getaways with his boss, I'd want to know. That's all. Girl code. Julia hung up. She's drunk, Julia said quickly. You know how Monica gets. She exaggerates everything. Does she? Julia's face flushed. David, I can't believe you're listening to gossip. Andrew is my mentor. This is professional development. If you can't support my career growth, that says more about you than me. Classic deflection. Make me the problem for noticing the problem. You're right, I said. I should be more supportive. She smiled, thinking she'd won. Exactly. Trust is the foundation of marriage. Trust. Another word that had lost its meaning somewhere between "he understands me" and adjoining hotel rooms. After Julia went to sleep, I sat in my office, staring at my computer screens. 17 years in IT security teaches you that information is power, and power is best served with patience and precision. I opened a new browser window and searched for Andrew Hartwell. LinkedIn profile, corporate bio, news articles about his company's growth. Married to Natalie Hartwell for 18 years, 2 kids in college, member of the country club, donor to various charities. I found Natalie's social media profiles. Elegant woman, sharp eyes, the kind of smile that could cut glass. Her recent posts were interesting, lots of solo activities, charity events attended alone, captions about finding yourself and new chapters. I picked up my phone and dialed. Hartwell residence. Mrs. Hartwell? This is David Kessler. I'm married to Julia, who works with your husband. Silence. Then, I see. I was wondering if we might chat about this company retreat they're going on tomorrow. Another pause. Mr. Kessler, I think that would be very enlightening. Would you like to come over? I was just opening a bottle of wine. I'll be right there. The Hartwell house was a monument to success. Marble foyer, crystal chandelier, artwork that probably cost more than my car. Natalie answered the door in a silk robe, wine glass already in hand, and I could see why Andrew might have felt the need to look elsewhere for excitement. She was beautiful, but in the way that expensive sculptures are beautiful. Perfect, cold, untouchable. David, she said, extending a manicured hand, I've been expecting this call for months. Have you? She led me to a living room that looked like a magazine spread. Please sit. Wine? Thanks. She poured from a bottle that probably cost more than most people's weekly salary. Your wife is very attractive, David. Very enthusiastic about her work. So I've noticed. Andrew thinks I don't know. Natalie settled into a chair across from me, crossing her legs with practiced elegance. Men always think they're cleverer than they are. But I've been watching, waiting, gathering evidence. Evidence? She smiled, and it was sharp enough to cut diamond. Credit card statements, hotel receipts, text messages he thought he deleted. Your wife isn't his first protégé, David. She's just the most obvious about it. I sipped the wine. It was excellent. What are you planning to do? Nothing dramatic. Nothing that would damage my reputation or my settlement in the inevitable divorce. She leaned forward. But this retreat tomorrow? Julia mentioned on her social media that she might live stream from the resort, show off the beautiful location, the team bonding activities. Live stream. Yes. Wouldn't it be interesting if someone was watching? Someone who could provide context in the comments? I felt something shift in my chest. Not anger. Anger was too hot, too imprecise. This was colder, more surgical. What did you have in mind? Natalie's smile widened. Why don't you come over tomorrow evening? We can watch together, 2 supportive spouses, cheering on our hard-working partners from home. I finished my wine. That sounds perfect. Excellent. Oh, and David, bring snacks. I have a feeling we're going to be entertained for quite a while. I drove home through empty streets, my mind already working through the possibilities. Julia wanted understanding? She was about to get more understanding than she'd bargained for. The house was dark when I got back. Julia's suitcase sat by the front door, ready for tomorrow's adventure. I walked upstairs and found Ethan still awake, laptop open, headphones around his neck. Dad? Where were you? Having a conversation with Mrs. Hartwell. Ethan's eyebrows went up. Andrew's wife? Dude. Language. Sorry, but seriously, Dad, Mom's been acting weird for months. All those late meetings, the new clothes, the way she talks about her boss. He paused. I'm not stupid. I know you're not. So what are you going to do? I sat on the edge of his bed. Nothing illegal, nothing violent, nothing that would embarrass you or damage our family's reputation. But your mother wants to live stream her retreat tomorrow night, show everyone how successful and happy she is. Ethan grinned, and for a moment he looked exactly like me at his age, too smart for his own good and ready to prove it. Can I help? Just be ready to record anything interesting that happens online tomorrow, for posterity. I can do that. I kissed his forehead and went to bed, lying next to my wife as she slept peacefully, dreaming of her retreat and her understanding boss and her bright corporate future. She had no idea that tomorrow night she'd be getting all the understanding she could handle. Julia left at noon, kissing my cheek with the enthusiasm of someone checking off a chore list. I'll call you tonight, she said, wheeling her suitcase toward the Uber. The resort has amazing views. I might go live on Instagram to show everyone. That sounds wonderful, I said. I'll be watching. She didn't catch the double meaning. I spent the afternoon preparing. Charged my phone, set up screen recording software on my laptop, created a few anonymous social media accounts with generic names and stock photo profiles. By 6 p.m., I was sitting in Natalie Hartwell's living room with a bottle of wine, a bag of gourmet popcorn, and a front row seat to what I was beginning to think of as opening night. Natalie had changed into designer jeans and a cashmere sweater, but she still looked like she could host a board meeting at a moment's notice. I've been monitoring Julia's social media all day, she said, showing me her phone. She posted from the airport, the hotel lobby, their lunch at the resort restaurant. Very thorough documentation. She always was good at marketing. Indeed. And look who's in the background of every single photo. I looked. Andrew Hartwell, silver hair perfectly styled, expensive suit, standing just a little too close to my wife in every shot, his hand on her shoulder in one, leaning in to whisper something in her ear in another. Subtle, I said, like a freight train. Natalie refreshed Julia's Instagram profile. Oh, look, she's going live in 5 minutes. Amazing sunset from the Mountain Vista Resort. Come see this incredible view with the team. We positioned ourselves on her couch, laptop open between us, wine glasses full. I felt like we were settling in to watch the Super Bowl. Julia's face appeared on screen, flushed and smiling, the resort's mountain vista behind her. She was in the hotel bar, soft lighting making everything look romantic and expensive. Hi everyone, she said to the camera. I'm here at the most amazing resort with my incredible team for our quarterly retreat. The views are just breathtaking. The camera panned to show Andrew Hartwell sitting beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. He raised his whiskey glass to the camera with a practiced smile. Beautiful location, he said in that CEO voice, smooth as aged bourbon. Nothing like getting the team together in an inspiring environment. I checked the viewer count, 47 people watching. Not bad for a random Thursday evening. The comments started immediately. Gorgeous resort. Lucky you. Is that your boss? He's handsome. Where's David tonight? Julia saw that last comment, and her smile flickered slightly. Oh, my husband's home with our son. This is just work stuff, you know? Very professional. Natalie leaned over and typed on her phone. That's my husband. The comment appeared on the live stream immediately. Julia didn't notice, but several viewers did. Wait, what? Whose husband? That guy is married? More people were joining the stream, 62 viewers now. Andrew seemed oblivious, ordering another round of drinks, his hand resting casually on the back of Julia's chair. When she laughed at something he said, she leaned into him, and the camera caught it all. Natalie typed again. Having fun at the professional retreat, darling? This time, Julia saw it. Her face went pale as she read the comment, then looked around the bar as if the commenter might be hiding behind a plant. She said to the camera, just showing everyone the beautiful scenery here. Very work-focused retreat. But the damage was spreading. Someone had screenshot Natalie's first comment and was sharing it. The viewer count jumped to 93. That's Andrew Hartwell, the CEO. His wife is in the comments. This is awkward. Julia, isn't that your boss? I took a screenshot of my own, then another. The comments were moving fast now, a mix of confusion, concern, and growing entertainment as people realized they were watching something unscripted. Julia was trying to end the stream gracefully, but Andrew was still talking, gesturing with his drink, completely unaware that his wife was providing live commentary to a growing audience. The quarterly projections look fantastic, he was saying, his arm now fully around Julia's shoulders. Working with talented people like Julia makes all the difference. 137 viewers. Natalie's next comment was surgical. Talented indeed. I'm sure her husband David is very proud of her dedication. That's when Julia realized exactly who was commenting. Her face went white, then red, then white again. The team has an early meeting tomorrow. She stammered to the camera, but Andrew was drunk enough to be expansive. Nonsense, the night is young. Julia and I were just discussing her promotion potential. Promotion potential, someone commented in all caps. This is better than reality TV. Screenshot everything. Someone record this. Too late, Julia. I was already recording everything. The viewer count hit 189. Julia's friends were showing up now, adding their own confusion to the mix. Julia, where are you? Is that a work thing? Girl, call me. Monica appeared in the comments. OMG, Julia, you're famous. But maybe don't sit so close to your boss on camera. Just saying. Even Monica, drunk enabler extraordinaire, could see this was a disaster. Julia finally managed to end the stream, but not before Andrew leaned over and kissed her cheek while saying goodbye to the camera. The final frame showed Julia's horrified expression as she realized what had just been broadcast to nearly 200 people. Natalie and I sat in silence for a moment, staring at the laptop screen. Well, she said finally, that was illuminating. I was already uploading the screen recording to a cloud storage account. Very educational. I particularly enjoyed the part where he discussed her promotion potential while his arm was around her. The kiss was a nice touch too. Natalie refilled our wine glasses. You know, David, I think HR is going to find this very interesting. I was thinking the same thing, purely from a policy compliance perspective, of course. Of course, companies take social media conduct very seriously these days. I pulled up the company directory on my phone. I believe the HR director is Margaret Tran. Very thorough woman, very concerned about maintaining professional standards. How fortunate that we have such clear documentation of tonight's team-building activities. I attached the video file to an email and typed, Ms. Tran, I thought you should be aware of this content involving senior leadership that was broadcast publicly this evening. As you know, the company has strict policies about professional conduct and social media representation. Please let me know if you need any additional context. Best regards, a concerned stakeholder. Send. Done, I said. Natalie smiled. You know, I think I'm going to enjoy being divorced. And I think I'm going to enjoy being single again. We clinked glasses as my phone started buzzing with notifications. Screenshots of the live stream were already spreading across social media, shared by viewers who recognized good drama when they saw it. Julia's phone was probably melting in her hand right about now. One more thing, I said, pulling up the company's board of directors' contact information. I think the board should be aware of how their CEO represents the company on social media, especially when it involves potential harassment of subordinates. Harassment? Natalie raised an eyebrow. A married CEO, drinking alone with a female employee, physical contact, discussing promotions in an intimate setting, all broadcast publicly. Most employment lawyers would call that a textbook hostile work environment case. David, you're absolutely diabolical. I prefer thorough. I sent the video to 3 board members, the company's legal counsel, and their public relations firm. By morning, Andrew Hartwell was going to have more meetings than he'd bargained for. My phone rang. Ethan. Dad, are you seeing this? Mom's live stream is everywhere. Someone made it into a meme already. What kind of meme? It's a screenshot of her face when she realized the boss's wife was commenting, with the caption, "When the company retreat becomes a company retreat." It's got like 5,000 shares already. I looked at Natalie. It's gone viral. Excellent. I do love efficiency. We spent the next hour watching the fallout spread across social media like wildfire. Julia's friends were frantically texting her, strangers were sharing the video, and someone had already created a hashtag, #retreatgate. By 10 p.m., the original live stream had been viewed over 50,000 times across various platforms. By 11 p.m., a local gossip blog had picked up the story. CEO caught in compromising position during professional retreat. By midnight, Julia's career was over, and she didn't even know it yet. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. Justice, I reflected, was a dish best served, live-streamed. I woke up Friday morning to 17 missed calls from Julia and a text message that simply said, "We need to talk. Now." I made coffee, checked my email, and found 3 messages from Margaret Tran in HR requesting a meeting with both Julia and Andrew first thing Monday morning. The subject line read, "Urgent, policy compliance review." My phone rang again. Julia. David, something terrible has happened. Oh no, what's wrong? Someone recorded my live stream last night and sent it to HR. They're saying Andrew and I violated company policy. They want to meet with us Monday morning. I stirred sugar into my coffee with deliberate calm. That does sound serious. What policy did you violate? We didn't violate anything. It was just a work dinner. But the way it looked on camera, and Andrew's wife was commenting, saying horrible things. His wife was watching? She was commenting on the stream, making it seem like something was going on between Andrew and me. It was so embarrassing, David. People were taking screenshots, sharing it everywhere. Honey, I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. HR will clear it up. Silence. Then, David, you don't sound surprised. Should I be? You told me you were going on a professional retreat. If it was professional, what's the problem? The problem is that it looked unprofessional. Andrew was just being friendly, but on camera it seemed inappropriate. Was it inappropriate? Another long silence. I'm coming home. We need to discuss this in person. Actually, Julia, I think you should stay and finish your retreat. Don't let gossip interfere with your professional development. Professional development? David, my career might be over. I thought Andrew understood you better than I ever could. Maybe he can help you navigate this situation. She hung up. I called Ethan downstairs for breakfast. He appeared with his laptop, grinning. Dad, you need to see this. Mom's live stream has its own Wikipedia page now. That seems excessive. Look at the comments on the company's social media pages. People are asking if this is how they conduct business meetings. I looked. The company's latest post about quarterly earnings had been flooded with comments. Is this the same company where executives live stream their romantic dinners? Very professional leadership team you have there. My wife works for your competitor. Thank goodness. Are you hiring? I have experience in team building too. The company's social media manager was working overtime, deleting comments as fast as they appeared, but the internet is forever, and screenshots are faster than corporate damage control. My phone rang. Natalie. David, good morning. I trust you slept well? Like a baby. You? Wonderfully. I wanted to let you know that Andrew came home around 3 a.m., absolutely furious. Apparently, the board called an emergency meeting for Monday morning. Something about reviewing recent public relations incidents. How unfortunate. He's been on the phone all morning with lawyers, PR consultants, and the company's crisis management team. It seems your wife's little live stream has created quite the situation. Through the window, I saw a car pulling into our driveway. Julia's Uber. "She's home," I said. "Excellent. I'll let you handle your reunion. But David, I'm filing for divorce this afternoon. My attorney says the live stream video provides excellent evidence of Andrew's extracurricular activities." "I'm sure it does. And I'm keeping the house and the cars and most of the investments. Adultery is so expensive these days." Julia walked through the front door, looking like she hadn't slept. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared, and she was carrying her suitcase like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "David, we need to talk." "Of course. How was the rest of your retreat?" "Terrible." Andrew was furious about the live stream. He said I should have been more careful about who was watching, should have noticed his wife's comments sooner. "So this is your fault?" That's what he said. He's worried about his reputation, his marriage, his position with the company. I poured myself another cup of coffee. "And what about your reputation? Your marriage? Your position?" She stared at me. "What do you mean?" "I mean, Julia, that you just spent 2 days at a romantic resort with your married boss, live-streamed an intimate dinner with him, let him put his hands on you in front of hundreds of people, and now you're upset about the consequences. It wasn't intimate. It was work." "Really?" "Because the internet seems to disagree." I showed her my phone. The hashtag #YourRetreatGate was trending. Someone had created a compilation video of the most awkward moments from her live stream, set to romantic music. It had been viewed over 100,000 times. Julia sat down heavily at the kitchen table. "This is a nightmare." "Yes, it is, for everyone involved." "What do you mean, everyone?" "Well, there's you, obviously, and Andrew, and his wife, who's filing for divorce, and the company, whose stock price dropped 3% yesterday after the story hit the business blogs, and our son, whose classmates have probably seen his mother's viral video by now." Ethan chose that moment to walk into the kitchen. "Hey, Mom, how was your retreat? I saw it online. Very educational." Julia's face crumpled. "Ethan, it's not what it looked like." "Really? Because it looked like you and your boss were having a romantic dinner while live streaming to Dad's friends." "Which is exactly what happened." "Dad's friends?" I hadn't mentioned that part yet. "Oh, I watched the live stream with Natalie Hartwell. We thought it would be nice to support our spouse's professional development together." The color drained from Julia's face. "You watched it? With his wife?" "We had wine, made a whole evening of it. Very entertaining. You set me up." "I didn't set up anything, Julia. You live-streamed your own behavior. I just provided an audience." She stood up, pacing the kitchen. "This is insane. You're acting like I committed some terrible crime. It was just dinner." "With a married man, who's your boss, who was touching you inappropriately, while you broadcast it to the world." "He wasn't touching me inappropriately." I pulled up the screenshots on my phone. His arm around your shoulders, his hand on your back, the kiss on your cheek, all captured in high definition. He was just being friendly." "Julia, I've been married to you for 16 years. I know what friendly looks like. That wasn't friendly. That was foreplay." Ethan made a disgusted noise. "Gross, Dad." "Sorry, son, but your mother seems confused about professional boundaries." Julia was crying now, which might have moved me 6 months ago. Before the late-night phone calls, the new clothes, the constant talk about how Andrew understood her better than I ever could. "David, please. It was a mistake. I got caught up in the attention, the validation. But nothing happened. I swear nothing happened. Yet." "What do you mean, yet?" "I mean that if I hadn't been watching, if Natalie hadn't been commenting, if the internet hadn't been recording, something would have happened. You were one drink away from destroying our marriage on live television." My phone buzzed. A text from Margaret Tran. "Mr. Kessler, could you please come in Monday morning as well? We may need to discuss the circumstances surrounding the video that was sent to our office." I showed Julia the message. "Looks like they want to talk to me too." "Why would they want to talk to you?" "Probably because I'm the one who sent them the video." The silence in our kitchen was deafening. Even Ethan stopped scrolling through his phone to stare at me. You sent it to HR? I sent it to HR, the board of directors, the legal department, and the PR firm. I wanted to make sure the right people saw how their senior leadership conducts business. Julia sat back down, hard. You destroyed my career. No, Julia, you destroyed your career. I just documented it. But why? If nothing happened, why did you have to make it public? Because something was going to happen. Because you've been emotionally cheating on me for months. Because you told me your boss understands you better than I ever will. Because you packed lingerie for a professional retreat and thought I wouldn't notice. She looked up sharply. You went through my suitcase? I didn't have to. You packed it right in front of me. Red lace bra, matching panties, the silk nightgown I bought you for Valentine's Day. Very professional attire. Ethan stood up. Okay, I'm going to my room. This is way too much information about my parents' marriage. After he left, Julia and I stared at each other across the kitchen table. So what happens now? She asked. Now? Now you probably get fired. Andrew definitely gets fired. His wife takes him for everything he's worth in the divorce. The company implements new social media policies, and we figure out what's left of our marriage. Is there anything left? I considered the question seriously. I don't know, Julia. You tell me. Is there? She was quiet for a long time. Finally, I don't know either. Then I guess we'll find out. My phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. Mr. Kessler, this is Janet Morrison from Channel 7 News. We're doing a story about workplace harassment and social media, and we understand your wife was involved in an incident that was live-streamed earlier this week. Would you be available for an interview? I looked at Julia, who had gone completely pale. Let me get back to you on that, I said, and hung up. The news wants to interview me about your live stream. Julia put her head in her hands. This just keeps getting worse. Yes, I agreed. It does. But for the first time in months, I was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, it was going to get better. Monday morning arrived like a reckoning. Julia left for her HR meeting wearing a conservative black suit and the expression of someone walking to their own execution. I drove separately to the company offices, curious to see how Margaret Tran planned to handle the biggest workplace scandal in the company's history. The lobby was buzzing with unusual energy. Employees clustered in small groups, whispering and checking their phones. Someone had printed out screenshots from Julia's live stream and taped them to the break room bulletin board with a sign that read, Professional Development Seminar. Margaret Tran met me in a conference room that smelled like burnt coffee and legal liability. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and the kind of smile that suggested she'd seen everything twice and wasn't impressed either time. Mr. Kessler, thank you for coming in. I understand you were the source of the video footage we received Friday morning. I was. I thought the company should be aware of how its senior leadership represents the organization in public forums. Indeed. And how did you come to possess this footage? My wife live-streamed it herself. I simply recorded what she chose to broadcast publicly. Margaret made notes on a legal pad. I see. And you were watching this live stream with Mrs. Hartwell? We were. 2 concerned spouses supporting our partner's professional development. She almost smiled at that. Almost. Mr. Kessler, I need to ask directly. Do you believe your wife and Mr. Hartwell were engaged in an inappropriate relationship? I considered my words carefully. I believe they were engaged in behavior that violated your company's social media policy, harassment guidelines, and basic standards of professional conduct. Whether that constitutes an inappropriate relationship is for you to determine. Fair enough. Are you planning to pursue any legal action against the company? Not at this time. I trust the company will handle this matter appropriately. Margaret nodded. We will. Thank you for your time, Mr. Kessler. I left the building and drove to a coffee shop across the street, where I had a perfect view of the company parking garage. At 11:47 a.m., Julia emerged carrying a cardboard box and walking very quickly toward her car. At 12:15 p.m., Andrew Hartwell followed, also carrying a box, but walking much more slowly and looking like he'd aged 10 years in 3 days. Both fired, effective immediately. My phone rang. Natalie. "David, are you free for lunch? I have news." We met at an upscale restaurant downtown. Natalie was practically glowing, dressed in a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. "Andrew was terminated this morning," she said without preamble. "Violation of company policy, breach of professional conduct, and something called bringing the organization into public disrepute." I heard. Julia too. "Excellent. And my divorce attorney filed papers this morning. I'm asking for the house, both cars, 70% of our investments, and spousal support. The live stream video makes adultery very difficult to deny." I raised my wine glass. "Congratulations." "Oh, but that's not the best part. Andrew's termination triggered a morality clause in his employment contract. No severance package, no stock options, no golden parachute. He leaves with exactly nothing." Ouch. Indeed. And since I'm filing for divorce based on adultery, I get to keep everything we accumulated during the marriage. The prenup he insisted on actually works in my favor now. I was starting to understand why Andrew had looked for excitement elsewhere. Natalie was brilliant, ruthless, and absolutely terrifying. "What about Julia?" she asked. "Fired. Probably unemployable in this industry. Her LinkedIn profile has been flooded with comments about the live stream. Shame. Such a promising career." We ordered lunch and spent the next hour planning phase 2 of what I was beginning to think of as Operation Understanding. "The thing is," I said, "getting them fired was just the beginning. They've both lost their jobs, but they haven't really faced the social consequences yet." "What did you have in mind?" I pulled out my phone and showed her Andrew's social media profiles. He's been posting about the misunderstanding and how he's exploring new opportunities. Very dignified, very corporate. We can't have that. No, we can't. People should understand exactly what kind of opportunities he was exploring. Natalie smiled. "I like how you think." That afternoon, I drove past Andrew's house. His BMW was parked in the driveway, and I could see him through the window, pacing and talking on the phone. Probably calling in favors, trying to find another position before the scandal spread too far. I parked down the street and opened my laptop. Time for some creative social media management. First, I created a fake business blog called Corporate Leadership Today and wrote an article titled "When Professional Development Goes Wrong, a Case Study in Social Media Disasters." The article included screenshots from Julia's live stream, quotes from employment law experts about workplace harassment, and a detailed analysis of how not to conduct business retreats. Then I submitted the article to several business news aggregators and shared it across professional networking sites. Within 2 hours, it had been picked up by 3 industry publications and shared over 500 times. Next, I found the social media accounts for the charity gala Andrew was scheduled to attend that weekend. Big fundraiser, lots of local business leaders, perfect opportunity for public humiliation. I sent an anonymous tip to the event organizers. "You should know that one of your featured guests, Andrew Hartwell, was recently terminated for workplace harassment. Here's video evidence of his conduct. You might want to reconsider his participation." By Friday, Andrew's invitation had been rescinded, but I was just getting started. Saturday morning, I drove to the country club where Andrew played golf every weekend. I knew his routine because Julia had complained about it for years: early tea time, drinks at the clubhouse afterward, networking with other executives. I parked where I could see the parking lot and waited. At 7:45 a.m., Andrew's BMW pulled up. He got out, looking tired and stressed, and headed for the clubhouse. I gave him a 10-minute head start, then walked to his car. I'd brought supplies, a dozen roses, wilted, from the discount bin at the grocery store, a bottle of cheap champagne, and a handwritten note that read, "Thanks for the professional development, boss. XOXO, Julia." I arranged the roses on his windshield, tied the champagne bottle to his door handle with a pink ribbon, and tucked the note under his windshield wiper where everyone in the parking lot could see it. Then I waited. Andrew emerged from the clubhouse 3 hours later with 2 other men in golf attire. They were laughing about something until they saw his car. The laughter stopped. One of the men took a picture with his phone. The other read the note aloud, loud enough for half the parking lot to hear. Andrew's face went through several shades of red before settling on purple. He tore the note down, threw the roses in a trash can, and untied the champagne bottle with shaking hands. But the damage was done. By that afternoon, photos of his romantic surprise were circulating among the country club membership, complete with speculation about his relationship with his former employee. Sunday morning, I attended the early service at the church where Andrew and Natalie had been members for 15 years. I sat in the back, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, and listened to the whispered conversations before the service started. "Did you hear about Andrew Hartwell? That video with his employee? Natalie filed for divorce, you know. Such a shame. They seemed so happy. Men always seem happy when they're cheating." After the service, I watched Andrew try to navigate the social gauntlet of coffee hour. People were polite but distant. Conversations ended when he approached, and I saw at least 3 people show their phones to their companions when they thought he wasn't looking. By the time I left, Andrew was sitting alone in the fellowship hall, staring into his coffee cup like it might contain answers to questions he didn't want to ask. That afternoon, my phone rang. Julia. "David, someone's been harassing Andrew, leaving things on his car, sending fake news articles to his contacts. Do you know anything about this?" "Why would I know anything about Andrew's problems?" "Because you're the one who started this whole mess." "I started it?" "Julia, I didn't make you live stream your dinner date. I didn't make you let him put his hands on you. I didn't make you pack lingerie for a work retreat. It wasn't a date. Tell that to the internet." She was quiet for a moment. "David, people are being cruel. His wife is taking everything in the divorce. He can't find another job. His friends won't return his calls. That sounds like natural consequences for his choices. But someone is actively making it worse. Someone is humiliating him on purpose." Interesting theory. "David, please. If you're doing this, stop. He's learned his lesson." "Has he? Because from what I can see, he's been telling people this was all a misunderstanding. That doesn't sound like someone who's learned anything." "What do you want from him?" "I want him to understand that actions have consequences. I want him to understand that he destroyed 2 marriages and multiple careers because he couldn't keep his hands to himself. I want him to understand exactly what he's cost everyone. And then maybe I'll consider letting him rebuild his life in peace." "What about us, David? What about our marriage?" I looked out the window at our neighborhood, where I'd lived for 8 years, where I'd thought I was building a life with someone who loved and respected me. "I don't know, Julia. What about it?" She hung up without answering. That evening, Ethan found me in my office working on my laptop. "Dad, what are you doing?" "Research." "On what?" "Your mother's boss has a speaking engagement next week at a business conference. I'm trying to decide whether the conference organizers should know about his recent career developments." Ethan sat down in the chair across from my desk. "Dad, are you okay? I mean, really okay?" I looked at my son, 16 years old, smart, observant, trying to navigate his parents' imploding marriage while maintaining his own sense of right and wrong. "I'm angry, Ethan. I'm hurt, and I'm angry, and I'm tired of being the only person in this family who seems to care about honesty and consequences. But you're scaring me a little." I stopped typing. "How so?" "You're different, colder, more calculating. It's like you've turned into someone else." I considered his words. Maybe I have. Maybe the person I was before was too trusting, too passive, too willing to let other people walk all over him. But what if you go too far? What would be too far, in your opinion? I don't know, but I don't want to lose both my parents to this mess. I reached across the desk and took his hand. You're not going to lose me, son, but I need to finish this. Your mother and Andrew need to understand what they've done, and they need to face real consequences for their choices. And then we'll see what's left to rebuild. He nodded, but I could see the worry in his eyes. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about consequences and justice and the difference between revenge and accountability. Tomorrow, Andrew Hartwell would face the biggest humiliation of his life, and Julia was going to help me deliver it. Tuesday morning brought unexpected news. Julia had moved in with Monica, her enabling friend, and according to Ethan's intelligence network, also known as social media, the arrangement was already causing problems. Monica's boyfriend is not happy, Ethan reported over breakfast, showing me screenshots from various Instagram stories. Apparently, Mom's been crying a lot and eating all their food and monopolizing the TV with job search websites. Tragic. Also, Monica posted this last night. He showed me a picture of Julia passed out on their couch, surrounded by empty wine bottles and tissues, with the caption, "When your bestie needs support, but maybe needs therapy more." Supportive friend. Gets better. Look at the comments. I looked. Monica's other friends were not being kind. Girl, maybe don't post pics of your house guest at rock bottom? Is that Julia from the viral video? Why is she staying with you? Where's her husband? This is messy, Monica. Delete this. But Monica, true to form, had left it up, probably enjoying the attention. My phone buzzed. Text from Natalie. Coffee? I have updates. We met at our usual place. Natalie looked like she'd won the lottery and been elected president in the same day. Andrew's speaking engagement was canceled, she said without preamble. Apparently, someone sent the conference organizers a very detailed analysis of his recent professional conduct. How unfortunate. Indeed. But that's not the best part. He's been staying at the Marriott downtown since I changed the locks, and yesterday he tried to expense the hotel bill to his corporate credit card. The corporate credit card for the job he no longer has? Exactly. The card was declined, of course, but not before the hotel manager called the company to verify his employment status. Very embarrassing. I sipped my coffee. Poor financial planning. It gets worse. He's been applying for executive positions, but every potential employer is Googling him and finding that business article you wrote. The one about social media disasters and workplace harassment. That article has been very well received. Lots of shares. Yes, and it's the first result when anyone searches his name, along with screenshots from Julia's live stream. Natalie showed me her phone. She'd Googled Andrew Hartwell CEO, and the results were devastating. The business article, the live stream screenshots, a LinkedIn discussion about workplace harassment, and 3 different blog posts analyzing the incident from legal, ethical, and professional perspectives. He's unemployable, she said with satisfaction. Natural consequences. But David, I think he's starting to crack. My attorney says he's been calling, begging me to reconsider the divorce, claiming the whole thing was a misunderstanding, that nothing physical happened, that he was just mentoring Julia. Mentoring? Is that what we're calling it? Apparently. He wants to go to counseling, rebuild our marriage, start fresh. And your response? Natalie's smile could have cut glass. I told him to start fresh with his unemployment benefits. That afternoon, I drove to Monica's apartment complex. Julia's car was in the parking lot, looking unwashed and sad. I parked across the street and waited. At 3:30 p.m., Julia emerged wearing sweatpants and a baseball cap, looking like she hadn't slept in days. She got in her car and drove to the grocery store. I followed at a distance. In the grocery store, I watched her navigate the aisles like a ghost. She moved slowly, checking her phone constantly, jumping every time someone looked at her. At the checkout line, I heard her talking to the cashier. Do you have any job applications? I'm looking for work. The teenage cashier looked confused. Like, any kind of work? Anything. Retail, food service, whatever you have. You could try the customer service desk? I watched Julia walk to customer service and ask for applications. The manager, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes, handed her a stack of papers. Most of these are part-time positions, the manager said. Minimum wage, evenings and weekends. That's fine, I just need something. The manager looked at her more carefully. Haven't I seen you somewhere before? You look familiar. Julia's face went pale. I don't think so. Wait, are you the woman from that viral video? The one with the boss? Julia grabbed the applications and fled. I followed her back to Monica's apartment, where I could see her through the window, sitting at the kitchen table, filling out job applications with the desperate focus of someone who'd just realized how far they'd fallen. That evening, my phone rang. Andrew Hartwell. David, this is Andrew. We need to talk. Do we? Yes. This has gone far enough. I know you've been spreading stories about me, sabotaging my job search, harassing me. That's a serious accusation, Andrew. Do you have any proof? I know it's you. The fake business articles, the things left on my car, the tips to conference organizers. It has to be you. Why would I do any of that? Because you're angry about Julia and me. Julia and you? Is there a Julia and you? Silence. It wasn't what it looked like. It looked like a married CEO having a romantic dinner with his married employee and broadcasting it to the internet. It was just... we were just... Just what, Andrew? Look, I made a mistake. I admit that. But I've lost everything. My job, my wife, my reputation. Isn't that enough? Have you lost everything? What do you mean? I mean, have you really lost everything? Or are you just facing consequences for the first time in your privileged life? This is insane. You're destroying my life over nothing. Nothing? Andrew, you were having an emotional affair with my wife. You took her on a romantic getaway disguised as a business trip. You put your hands on her in public and let her broadcast it to hundreds of people. You humiliated me, your wife, our children, and your company. And you call that nothing? It wasn't an affair. Nothing physical happened. Yet. What? Nothing physical happened yet. But it was going to, wasn't it? If the live stream hadn't gone viral, if your wife hadn't been watching, if I hadn't been recording, what would have happened that night? Long silence. That's what I thought, I said. David, please. I'm begging you. Stop this campaign against me. I'll apologize publicly. I'll make amends, whatever you want. What I want, Andrew, is for you to understand what you've cost everyone. What you've cost me, your wife, our children, your company. What you've cost Julia. Julia? She's filling out applications for minimum wage jobs, Andrew, living on her friend's couch, crying herself to sleep every night. Her career is over, her marriage is over, her reputation is destroyed. All because you couldn't keep your hands to yourself. That's not my fault. Isn't it? You were her boss. You had the power in that relationship. You pursued a married employee, took her on romantic trips, encouraged her to betray her family. And when it all blew up, you blamed her for not being more careful about who was watching. That's exactly what happened. And now you want me to stop holding you accountable because you're finally facing consequences. What do you want from me? I thought about it. I want you to understand, Andrew. Really understand. I want you to know what it feels like to lose everything because of someone else's selfish choices. I do understand. I've lost my job, my marriage, my reputation. Have you? Because from what I can see, you're still making excuses. Still blaming Julia for the live stream. Still calling it a misunderstanding. Still acting like the victim. I am a victim. You've been stalking me, harassing me. No, Andrew. I've been documenting your behavior and sharing it with people who needed to know, just like you documented your behavior with my wife and shared it with the internet. I hung up. An hour later, Julia called. David, Andrew says you've been harassing him. Andrew says a lot of things. Have you? I've been ensuring that people understand the truth about what happened. Is that harassment? You're destroying his life. No, Julia. He destroyed his own life. I'm just making sure he can't pretend otherwise. But why? What's the point of all this? The point is accountability. The point is consequences. The point is that actions matter. He's learned his lesson. Has he? Because he just called me to complain about being held responsible for his choices. That doesn't sound like someone who's learned anything. David, please. I'm begging you, stop this. Let us try to rebuild our lives. Us? Silence. Julia, are you still in contact with Andrew? We talk sometimes. We're both going through the same thing. The same thing. We both lost our jobs, our reputations. We both made mistakes. You made mistakes together. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Julia? Explain it to me. He made me feel important, valued, like my ideas mattered. And I didn't? You were always so focused on work, on security systems and networks. When I tried to talk about my career, you'd listen for 5 minutes and then start talking about server configurations. So you found someone who would listen. Yes. And that someone happened to be your married boss. It wasn't supposed to be romantic. But it was. Long silence. Maybe. A little. A little romantic, with a married man, while you were married to me. David, I'm sorry. I know I hurt you. I know I made terrible choices. But I never meant for any of this to happen. What did you think would happen, Julia? What was the endgame? I don't know. I wasn't thinking about endgames. I was just enjoying the attention. The attention from a married man who had power over your career. When you put it like that, it sounds awful. It is awful, Julia. And the fact that you're still talking to him, still defending him, still acting like you're both victims of the same unfortunate circumstances, tells me you haven't learned anything either. So what happens now? Now? Now you both face the full consequences of your choices. What does that mean? I looked out my window at our neighborhood, where I'd thought I was building a life with someone who loved and respected me. It means this isn't over, Julia. Not even close. I hung up and started planning Andrew's final humiliation. It was time to end this. The charity gala was perfect. 500 of the city's most influential business leaders all gathered in the ballroom of the Grand Hotel to raise money for children's education. Andrew had been scheduled to give a keynote speech before his recent career difficulties, but even though his invitation had been rescinded, I knew he'd find a way to attend. Men like Andrew Hartwell don't disappear quietly. They make grand gestures, desperate attempts to salvage their reputations. I was right. At 7:30 p.m., I spotted him near the bar, wearing a tuxedo that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary, working the room like he still belonged there. He was thinner than before, his silver hair less perfectly styled, but he was putting on a good show for anyone willing to listen. I positioned myself across the room and opened the livestream app on my phone. Time for the final act. Good evening, everyone, I said quietly to the camera. I'm at a charity gala tonight, and I thought you might be interested in seeing how certain disgraced executives handle public appearances. I had 47 viewers within the first minute. Word travels fast in the age of social media. I moved closer to Andrew, keeping my phone low and inconspicuous. He was talking to a group of potential investors, spinning some story about new opportunities and fresh starts. The recent media attention was unfortunate, he was saying, but sometimes these things happen in business. The important thing is to learn from setbacks and move forward. Setbacks. That's what he was calling the destruction of 2 marriages and multiple careers. My viewer count jumped to 93. Someone in the chat recognized Andrew from the original live stream. Isn't that the guy from the viral video? The one who was touching his employee? What's he doing at a charity gala? I moved closer, my phone's microphone picking up more of Andrew's conversation. Julia was a talented employee, but she made some poor decisions about social media, he was saying. I tried to mentor her, but some people aren't ready for that level of professional development. Throwing Julia under the bus. Again. The chat exploded. He's blaming the woman. What a piece of garbage! Someone should call him out. 150 viewers now. I walked up to Andrew's group, phone still recording. Andrew Hartwell, I said loudly enough for the surrounding tables to hear. I didn't expect to see you here. He turned, and I watched the color drain from his face when he recognized me. David, what are you doing here? Supporting children's education, same as you, I assume. I looked at the group of investors he'd been talking to. Has Andrew told you about his recent career change? David, please. He was recently terminated from his CEO position for workplace harassment. There's video evidence if you're interested. Very educational. The investors looked uncomfortable. One of them checked his phone, probably Googling Andrew's name. That's not what happened, Andrew said quickly. There was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I held up my phone, still live streaming. Ladies and gentlemen, we have nearly 200 people watching right now. Would you like to explain to them what the misunderstanding was? Andrew realized I was broadcasting and tried to walk away, but I followed him, my voice carrying across the ballroom. The misunderstanding was that Andrew thought he could have a romantic dinner with his married employee, broadcast it live to the internet, and face no consequences. People were turning to look now. Conversations stopped. Someone pulled out their phone to record. You're harassing me, Andrew said, backing toward the exit. Am I? I'm just sharing publicly available information, just like you shared your dinner with my wife. We were near the main entrance now, with a growing audience of gala attendees watching the spectacle. Andrew, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, would you like to tell everyone how you mentored my wife? How you took her on romantic retreats and put your hands on her while she live-streamed it? How you threw her under the bus when it went viral? That's not what happened. No? Then what did happen? Andrew looked around the ballroom, realizing that half the city's business elite was watching him implode in real time. It was professional. Professional? I pulled up the screenshots on my phone and held them up for the crowd to see. This is professional? Your arm around her shoulders, kissing her cheek, discussing her promotion potential while your wife watched from home? The crowd murmured. Someone laughed. Andrew's face went from pale to red to purple. You destroyed my life, he shouted. No, Andrew. You destroyed your own life, and mine, and your wife's, and Julia's. I just made sure everyone knew about it. Security was moving toward us now, but the damage was done. 237 people were watching the live stream, and at least 50 people in the ballroom had recorded the confrontation. Sir, we need you to leave, the security guard said to Andrew. He's the one causing problems. Andrew pointed at me. Sir, please come with us. As security escorted Andrew out, I addressed my live stream audience. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Andrew Hartwell, former CEO, current cautionary tale. Remember, actions have consequences, even for people who think they're above them. I ended the stream and walked back into the gala, where conversations had resumed but with a different energy. People were checking their phones, sharing videos, spreading the story. My phone buzzed constantly with notifications. The live stream had been screen recorded and was already being shared across social media. Retreatgate was trending again. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. Justice, I reflected, was a dish best served publicly. Ethan was waiting for me in the living room, laptop open, grinning. Dad, you're viral again. The video of Andrew's meltdown has been viewed 50,000 times in the last hour. How's the commentary? Brutal. People are calling him pathetic, desperate, delusional. Someone made a meme comparing him to a deflated balloon. I sat down next to my son. How do you feel about all this? Honestly, I'm proud of you. You didn't let them get away with it. You made them face consequences. And your mother? Ethan's expression grew more serious. She called while you were out. She saw the live stream. She's not happy. I imagine not. Dad, what happens now? With you and Mom, I mean. I looked around our living room, where I'd thought I was building a life with someone who loved and respected me. I don't know, son, but I know that whatever happens, we'll face it honestly. No more lies, no more excuses, no more letting people walk all over us because it's easier than standing up for ourselves. My phone rang. Julia. David, what have you done? I attended a charity gala and had a conversation with your former boss. You humiliated him in front of hundreds of people. He humiliated himself. I just provided the audience. This has to stop. You're destroying any chance we have of rebuilding our lives. Our lives, Julia? Are we rebuilding our lives together? Silence. Because if we are, you need to stop talking to Andrew. You need to stop defending him. You need to take responsibility for your choices and start acting like someone who wants to save her marriage. I do want to save our marriage. Then prove it. Cut all contact with Andrew. Get counseling. Find a job. Start acting like a wife instead of a victim. And if I do all that, will you stop this campaign against him? I thought about it. Julia, my campaign against Andrew isn't about you. It's about accountability. It's about making sure that powerful men can't destroy families without consequences. But it is about me. You're punishing him because of what happened between us. I'm holding him accountable because of what he did to us, to our family, to his family, to everyone whose lives he damaged because he couldn't keep his hands to himself. David, please, I'm begging you, end this. Let us try to move forward. I looked at Ethan, who was watching me with serious eyes, waiting to see what kind of man his father really was. Julia, I'll make you a deal. You cut all contact with Andrew. You get counseling. You find a job and start rebuilding your life without making excuses or blaming other people. You do that, and I'll consider whether our marriage is worth saving. And Andrew? Andrew faces the consequences of his choices, just like you do, just like I do, just like everyone else. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Julia, you had an emotional affair with your married boss, broadcast it to the internet, destroyed 2 families, and you're worried about what's fair to him? I made mistakes, but… No buts, Julia. You made choices. Own them. Learn from them. Become someone worth being married to, or don't, but stop expecting me to protect you from the consequences of your own actions. I hung up. Ethan looked at me with something that might have been respect. Dad, are you okay? I'm getting there, son. I'm getting there. Outside, it started to rain. I watched the water run down our windows and thought about fresh starts, clean slates, and the difference between forgiveness and foolishness. Tomorrow, Julia would have to decide what kind of person she wanted to be. Tonight, I was finally at peace with the kind of person I'd become. The comments section of my life had spoken, and for the first time in months, I liked what it had to say.